Good evening, my peoples. It's your main man, Solace. I want to do this video on the true history of creation and the war between the giants and mankind. Now, if you a Christian, a Kemetic follower, Torah, Quran reader, you need to focus on this. I'm about to break down some trueness to all the things about these giants and things of that nature that we're struggling with to understand. Now, if you've been following me, you should know that the sperm is the spirit, and I broke down what needs to be done on the ascent, what God truly is, and all of these things. So anybody trying to come rule you, you should have some sense to know that it's trickery, and a lot of trickery is going to come back. So I'm going to basically touch on the fallen angels, the Anunnaki, the Yigi, the Nephilim, all of these things, these giant things. I'm about to break down that whole history and how white people play a part in that, so on and so forth. Now, I broke down a video about how white people came, basically, into being. So you should go check that out because that's a surface level to give you a ground-based foundation of what reality is, because we so lost in the sci-fi, but that should give you some type of ground foundational base of some type of history. Now I'm about to get into this, but I want to say I got deleted from Facebook for a couple of days, so if you haven't seen me or I haven't responded to your friend request or messages, I just unblocked, so ain't nothing. We ain't worried about that. Now, let me get into this video. Okay. If you're a Bible reader, you know the creation story of how God created man. And if you're a Torah Quran reader, same thing. Now, I'm the guy that brought the Anunnaki forth. So if you followed me earlier, so that means if you go deep back into my early videos, you'll see me connecting Kemetic in the Anunnaki, in the Bible, Quran, Torah, all of these holy books, and I connected them and showed y'all how they all go together and how the order they go in, because it's all a history thing. Now, you have the fallen angels, you have the Anunnaki, you have the Igigi, and you have the Nephilim. Now, we should all be familiar with one, two, or maybe all of these names. These would be the giants that you heard of in history. Now, this all comes from the Anunnaki thing. The fallen angels, the Gigi, the Nephilim, this all derives from the Anunnaki thing. So let me break that down. You have Enlil, which is basically you have Anu. He is the Anunnaki king. They come from a place within our solar system. So you already know I broke down to you guys what the solar system truly is and how we're the cells inside the being, so on and so forth. So they're just from another organ within the being. And they came to our organ, which is Earth. And now let me break down the story. So now you have Anu, who is the king of the Anunnaki race. You have his two sons, Enlil and I, are Enki. But his true name is E-A, are Enki. Now, Enlil became El, or Elohim, and I became Yah. So remember that. Now, let me break down their history. Basically, Enlil would be Satan, the Igigi. Let me break down the history right quick. You got the Anunnaki. They basically came to Earth. This is just a quick summary. You can go to my old videos and get the breakdowns, because I gave you mad breakdowns. Now, you got the Anunnaki. These are basically men from another organ within our solar system. I'm not even using the word planets no more. They're from another organ within our solar system. They came to Earth. They came back in the times when you basically had the hominid men, the natural men of Earth. They came back in them times. They basically exploited the earth for the natural resources. They eventually, Enki or he was like the scientist. So he basically seen the hominids, and he basically altered the genes of the hominid and mixed it with theirs. So he basically altered the womb of the hominids so that it could fit their sperm or their spirit. And this is how they brought us to being. So you had a Damu and a Dapper. That was the two creation stories that you got in Genesis. I'm going to go back to that. But basically, is the one who created us through that binding of them. Now you have to remember, the Anunnaki are men. They're just from another organ. Where they live, they're bigger, they're taller. So they probably like 10 feet, 11 feet, and just bigger than us. Than the hominids that were here. The hominids that were here probably was like between 5 and 6 feet, like how we are. So they basically mingled the two genes, and you got us. Now, they basically ruled over us as gods, and this is how you got all of that. Now, Enlil always was against it. He didn't like it, this creation thing. So he would be like the Satan. He didn't like mankind. He wasn't with that shit. And it's like in the Bible when God told the devil or Satan to bow to man, to Adam, and he was like, I ain't with that shit. I was created before this motherfucker. Who is it? So that's where that comes from. Now, Enki, he is the creator of man. So men always loved Enki. He was the dude. And then you had the Igigi, which was those who were stationed on Mars that pretty much watched what was going on to make sure everything was going the way it was supposed to on Earth, because that was their mission, to come to Earth and exploit the natural resources and basically bring it back to their planet. So they was just the watchers. This is where that came from, the Igigi. So they would be the Nephilim or the fallen angels that you hear of. Now they're Anunnaki too. They were just called the Igigi because they were stationed on Mars, and the Anunnaki were on Earth. So it's the same people, just different places. Now, this is how you got all of that. Now, if you feel kind of lost, you can always refer to my old videos. But basically, you got you got Enki and Enlil. Enlil is not with the mankind mingling shit, and Enki is the creator of that, and he always do what he do. Now, when mankind was created, they were mingling in with the hominids that were already here on Earth. So this is how the hominids eventually just, I forgot the word, but this is how they went extinct. But they didn't go extinct. They just blended in with us. And at the same time, the Anunnaki that were on Earth, they were having sex with the men too. And they were having sex with the hominids also. So this is where you get the story in the Bible where they say the fallen angels came down and took wives of men, took daughters of men, and they sinned against the beast of the earth too. This is talking about the hominids. They was fucking them too, having offspring by them. This is where you get the giants and all the different names, the Gregorum and the Raphaim, because they was mingling in with the hominids and they was mingling in with the humans. Now, when they were mingling in with the humans, you weren't really getting the giants, because the humans and the Anunnaki were pretty much the same. They weren't no different. The Anunnaki pretty much didn't really truly use too much of the hominids. If you read the story, you'll grasp what I mean. They had to keep doing it until they eventually used most of their genes to create us. So we're pretty much them, just shorter, smaller, the size of the beings that's on this earth. So you pretty much had the Anunnaki, which would be the fallen angels, having sex with man and having sex with the hominids. So this is how the hominids went extinct, and this is how you had giants and then regular men, because we were still mingling with them amongst ourselves, populating. And then those Anunnaki who mingled in with man, you had got giants, because the Anunnaki were giants. So this is how you got the giants, and then you got the regular men. Now, let me break down the two creations in Genesis right quick. You got The first one was Adamu. So Enki made Adamu first. But Adamu wasn't perfect. Adamu basically couldn't procreate. So this is why in Genesis you get two creation stories where he say he made man, male and female in his image, and then the one about Adam. Now, Adam would be a dapper. This is the one that he made that could reprocreate, so on and so forth. So this is how you got the two creations of man, etc., etc. Now, I also broke down in my past videos how Marduk Ra, this is the same people. They went into Egypt because all of this started in Mesopotamia or Iraq. So this is truly the cradle of civilization, Iraq. And then it spread out into Egypt, so on and so forth, or what we would call Africa, that continent, which is pretty much the same goddamn continent as Iraq, but whatever. Now, Marduk or Ra in Kemetic is basically the son of Enki, and his two sons was Cain and Abel, which is basically Cain and fucking Abel. So this is where all of these stories come from, because this is how the Anunnaki ruled men for so long, through this God thing and all of this, and this is where you get all these religions from, and all these different gods, because these are the offspring of those first Anunnaki, Enlil and Enki. So Enki had a son named Marduk. Marduk had kids named Cain and Abel. Because in the Enuma Elish it doesn't say Cain and Abel, and the Enuma Elish says Esau and Setu, which would be Osar and Set. So it's a deep thing. Osar and Set, y'all. Whatever the fuck you want to call them. Seth, whatever. Esau and Setu. So those are Marduk's two sons. Setu killed Esau. This is in the Enuma Elish. This is in Kemetic creation story also. So we got to get a level of understanding how all of these texts go together, and this is where all these religions come from. And this is just history of the earth, and it's being used in a ruling way through the religion, so on and so forth. So it's truly simple, but a deep thing. But I'm going to break down how the war between the gods and the men pretty much started off from that. So after you had the Anunnaki ruling over men, after they was created, so on and so forth. Now, I don't want you to feel like, damn, if I'm a man and I was created by these niggas, then I'm not really a person. You have the same sperm cell spirit they had. This is how you came into being. You're nothing more than the mixture of two different beings. Just like a black and a white person have a baby, that baby is a human. It's not a fucking alien. You feel what I'm saying? So we all good to go. We still a part of the universe in the mighty all. Just like them. They just convinced us otherwise, being as though they altered the genes of the natural man of this earth. Basically speeding the process of men evolving and becoming wiser on their own. So they pretty much just altered with the universe and life. But we all the same shit. So men basically eventually realized this. That, hold on, these motherfuckers ain't gods, because they would have kids with the humans, because by this time the hominids was giants. You had those giants running around, and these was pretty much those who ruled over the men, the kids of Enki and Enlil. So this is where you get the different gods from, like Marduk, Ra, and Esau and Set, and all of this, Osar and Set, so on and so forth. You get all of this from their children and their children's children, and this is how all throughout history you have these gods. And the offspring that they had with the humans or the hominids, the ones they had with the humans, they pretty much kept with themselves. They had the bond with them, and the other humans was just left in the dark. Sort of like how we got with the government now, where they are in tune with what's going on, and we kind of left in the dark to figure things out. And then you had the giants. These motherfuckers didn't care about nothing. It was the Anunnaki and the hominid mixture. So they didn't give a fuck about the Anunnaki other fucking hominids or anybody. They was just fucking giants. But they had intellect. They wasn't just, oh, I'm giant and I'm stupid, barbaric. No. But they truly didn't, they didn't give a fuck about neither or. It didn't matter to them. So eventually mankind began to go to war with the Anunnaki and their descendants, killing them, so on and so forth, blase, blase. And this is how you got the stories in the Bible of King David and so on and so forth. These is all stories about men going to war with giants. That's what the whole Bible shit is about, all them stories. Men going to war with giants, which would be the Anunnaki. So now once the Anunnaki realize, okay, these motherfuckers know we just like them and they killing us, this is when they begin to, you can say, alter the genes in a sense to where they blend themselves in, making themselves smaller. So now when they have offspring, they somehow alter the genes to where they're smaller. Now you have to remember the Anunnaki are white. So it's a deep thing. The Anunnaki are white. Men they made were black. This is how you got all the dark-skinned races. Dapper and Titty. This would be Adam and Eve. One was brown, one was tan, like sand. So this is where you get all mankind was some shade of brown. And then you had the white race, which were the descendants of the Anunnaki. But they were men too, just like us. They weren't like the Anunnaki, because they were the mingling of the Anunnaki with mankind. So this is how you got white people on a regular manly's level. So they kind of were exiled out. Like, our focus was killing the giants, the Anunnaki. We didn't really care about the regular white people. They were just exiled out. They lived in the sea. So nobody worried about them. So now the Anunnaki basically hid themselves within this earth because they already knew they couldn't win the war. But they're advanced. This is where we got all our technology and know-how from to eventually realize, hold on, they not nobody special. They just regular men that came here and got us brainwashed. Working for them and all kind of crazy shit when we supposed to be working for the earth. Providing for the earth for ourselves. We providing for the earth to give them all the resources for nothing. They don't even belong here. So this is how the war began, with us versus the giants. And we killed them, so on and so forth. And this is why you get in the Bible where you see, like, they'll say, oh, if a man had leprosy or was an albino, he was exiled out because they ain't want nothing to do with no white. If you had any pieces of white on you, they assumed you had to do with the Anunnaki and they ain't want nothing to do with you. So you had to understand, this is deep. You got to understand, Noah, the first beginnings of the Bible, you dealing with the Anunnaki. Noah, Adam, Eve, all of this shit. These are the descendants of the Anunnaki. This is why they're always described as white or like albino. Noah was described as an albino with red eyes. He was in the liking of the Anunnaki. Over time, mixing and mingling, they became more not as albino-like. So it's a deep thing. Now, this is why the statues in Egypt, Iraq are being destroyed. Because they don't want us to know this true history. Because we're still being ruled by this true history, even though the Anunnaki are not currently here. They're still ruling us through the stories that have now been put into religions to rule over men. So now you worship these men-like gods. And the stories of these men-like gods in all of your books come from this. And this is how you got this, mind you. The true God is the universe and the universal knowledge that I've been breaking down to y'all and how you were sent through the lives. So now when these Anunnaki or giant beings start to reveal themselves again, y'all going to get swallowed up into all this Satan Bible and all of this, oh, the gods are coming back and so on. And y'all going to get lost into that, forgetting that no other being can rule over another being. Because we all are part of the universal knowledge. We are not the physical thing. We the sperm cell inside on its ascent. So now when they come back and y'all get all lost into, oh my God, the gods is back and the giants coming, the end times is here, y'all truly ain't gonna know what's happening. The same ruling shit is gonna take place again. See, they had to leave because we were killing them. We knew they weren't nothing but regular men trying to enslave us. So they knew they had to disappear for a long enough time for man to forget and become confused within the story. So that now when they pop back up, they can have that power that they had at first when we didn't know any better. And this is where we're at again. We don't understand these religions and these Bible stories and these Torah stories. And most of us never read the Anunnaki and so on and so forth. And we don't know that they're connected because we're told to just stick with your religious book and don't mingle with others, because this is how you become confused, and this is how we are ruled and staying in the dark. So now we are ready for them to reveal themselves again because we're back in darkness. We don't understand these stories. We just know it was giants and Anunnakis and the devil and God, and I gotta pray 5 times a day to Allah, and I gotta worship Yah, and this is all we got of these things, but we truly don't understand the connection and what this is, and how it has to do with our slavery from the beginnings all the way to now, because mankind has always been slaved out. We was created to be slaved out. Now, don't think created in the sense of, oh, you was fashioned during the Spottish wheel. No. Created in the sense of like how when you have sex with a woman and a baby is born. So just think in the sense of, oh, I'm going to take my genes and mix it with this Japanese motherfucker, and the baby that come out, I'm going to use that shit to do this. So this is what I mean by made. So they basically created us for the purposes of basically being their slaves and exploiting the resources of this earth. Now we find ourselves at this point in time in the same goddamn boat, working for resources that are provided by the earth for free. We're working for these things. We're still under the rulership in slavery of the Anunnaki. And those that are descendant of them, that are blended in with mankind, is where you get the hidden rulers of this earth. Meaning, who do we work for? Who takes our taxes? And the government do it. And who the government is. And you really ain't getting no answers to who really rules this goddamn earth. And they like, oh, it's a couple of bankers that rule. No. It's the Anunnaki and their descendants. They disappeared long enough. This is why you don't see the giants anymore. Because they understand this earth more than we understand this earth. We got our intelligence from them. We learned everything from them. They taught us everything for the purposes of us doing all the work and things for them. So this is how we learn things from them. So they're more advanced than we are. So they hid themselves within the earth. This is why I keep telling people, you can live within a cave better than you can live in any house you build. So they live and dwell within the earth like kings, ruling us through these religions in the history of what happened. We have the true history of what happened. We just don't read it continuously. We don't understand that the Anunnaki comes first. Then you read ancient Kemetic shit. Then you read the Bible. Then you read the Quran. Or you can say you read the Torah. Then you read the Quran. They go in that order. They all cover a certain time period. They all go one into another. You don't hear about Enlil or Enki in the Bible because that time period is not of Enki and Enlil. By this time, Marduk, Ra, all these motherfuckers' times done passed. In the Bible, now you down to goddamn near Cain and Abel time. So it's a deep thing. But they all go together. They all cover their time period. And you get a brief glimpse of the time period before. So we just got to grasp that and understand, man, that we are in slavery And it's way deeper than I've been bringing it to y'all. But it's like y'all so jumbled up with too much information confusingly that y'all truly don't grasp anything. Even like what I'm breaking down now, y'all so confused within yourselves that y'all truly not gonna grasp it and understand. Okay, I grasp how the giants and all these things came to being and how it began to be a war. So basically, to give you a summary, if you truly don't grasp nothing I just said, we basically eventually went to war with the giants that you hear about in all these religious books. We took them to war. They were the gods that we hear about in these books. That's why the gods are always speaking in plural, even in the creation. So we went to war with these gods because we realized they weren't gods. And that's what the goddamn book is about. How men went to war with the gods or the giants because they realized they weren't gods, just big ass fucking men that ruled the fuck over them and made them work for the resources of this earth that truly belonged to them and not the big ass giants. So they went to war with the giants. The giants mingled themselves in more with mankind to blend in. Those that were already big and couldn't make themselves smaller hid within the earth. And they kept breeding and kept living their lives as giants within this earth, ruling over men through their ancestors, through their descendants that were blended in with men. And this is how we've been being ruled for forever times. So now after the giants, we seen, oh, we killed all the giants, we good now. Now we're being ruled by their descendants that are blended in with us. And this is how you get white people. You got some white people who are just the after effects of the mingling, like I said. And then you have some white people who are truly descendants of the Anunnaki. And they know this. But they are here to blend in. They look just like every other goddamn white person you ever seen. This is why some white people live horrible goddamn lives just like black people. And you like, damn, white people slave out their own people too? They ain't slaving out their own people. Those white people are mankind just like us. Those other motherfuckers that's ruling are not white people like them. They're not like us. Meaning in the sense of they're not from this organ, which is Earth, the planet. They're not from here. They're from another organ within this body, which is the solar system. So we have to truly grasp that and understand that there is nobody for us to worship or rule. We are all equal in this life and we all have our piece of this life. And it's our job to ascend through it back to the mighty all. Just like the Anunnaki and everything else. Now they have hella technology. So you gotta understand, man, they know how to preserve themselves. They know all types of things. This is where you get the mummies and all. I'm gonna break certain things down as I go. But I don't want to rush into so much stuff and y'all get confounded. But when these ancient giants pop back up and come at y'all on some god shit and they're aliens and all of this, understand, man. Ain't nothing alien in the sense of, ain't nothing coming from another body. So everything you ever see is from within this solar system, which is the body or the immune system of the being that we all live in. Which means they ain't got no goddamn superiority to you, except if they were maybe born first. But even that don't matter, because I already broke down conscious to y'all in the spirit. So as long as you understand that, no one can rule over you and tell you, oh, I am God, your creator. No, you're not, because you didn't create the life that you have. See, it's a deep thing. We all live within a life, body within bodies, worlds within worlds. In the universe, everything that is in the universe, this is the image of the mighty all. So anything coming to talk to you on some rulership, I don't care if they big, whatever. If motherfucker got a big ass head like a Martian, he was made like that. Remember that. We have scientists. They understand sperm cells. They understand that's the spirit. It was left all over this earth for you to know that the sperm is the spirit. And this is how motherfuckers get created. Through the spirit. So we got to understand this, man. And just truly understand that religion and all these things are becoming weak and frail. People are starting to see, hold on, man, I've been believing in this bullshit for a long time and ain't nothing coming out of it. People are starting to see this. So now it's going to be time for those of old to show face, to keep that hold over man. Because if men start realizing, hold the fuck up, why am I going to work to pay for fucking rent, clothes, and food when I could just learn all this shit by myself and live off the land? This earth is free for all who lives here. I don't have to pay a man to buy land or none of that. As long as I know how to sow and reap, I could do that shit wherever I want. A motherfucker can't watch my every move. And if everybody begin to live like that and pretty much just ignore all this other dumb shit that's going on and say, look, we gonna band together. We all understand we being enslaved, so we just gonna sow and reap, make our own clothes, grow our own food, and do our own thing and live on the land. And we ain't worrying about the government. Fuck them. Because it ain't enough of them to force us to do shit. There's nothing they could do once we get to that point. So now they got to show face and make aliens seem real. And make themselves appear like gods again. Because at this point, we're waiting for the gods. Mind, it's all bullshit. Do not get caught up in that. The motherfucking giants pop back up. Then we just got to do what our ancestors did. And get rid of the bacteria cells. Because any cell that is inside of an organ, that is on an organ that doesn't belong on that organ, this is how you get colds and things. So if Anunnaki come into this organ and they don't belong on this organ, then they're nothing more than bacteria cells trying to give this organ a cold. Basically, exploit it for all its shit that is supposed to be going to the cells, which are us, to fulfill the cells so they can ascend. But they're exploiting all of it. We're working, killing ourselves for the shit that's free for us. Basically crippling the organ. And we're allowing it. And it's time we wake up. This is how this story and all these things play a part into our reality now. I hope somebody got something out of this. This is your main man, Solace. Go back into my videos, man. I left a lot of deep knowledge for y'all. All throughout them videos, every video. I know it's about 200 of them, and it's more coming every day, but y'all got to start watching them. When you watch this one, write it down. Let me go watch all his Anunnaki videos after I watch this one. If you watch another video about dimensions, let me go watch all his videos about death.